Okay, so welcome again. And now, at least in this hall, we're having the last, but of course not the least, topic. And this one will be about the path to leadership. And we will hear a very nice presentation by Ilya Roslakov about how to become a leader of leaders from software developer. So Ilya Roslakov from Wargaming, who is the head of engineering, will present us the topic evolving from software engineer to lead of leads of leads. Ilya, floor is yours.
Thank you. And I'm trying to change slides and doesn't work. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, today, by the way, I won't tell you how. Today, what I wanted to share is my experience, and since it's pretty personal and since it's about like sharing my experience, I have to tell it that I'm currently into that role, and my PR made to say me that I hired or roughly developed from scratch 10 to 20 leads, depends on how you measure. And in a couple of companies, I made career level progression matrices like engineers and managers, what does it mean to be whatever career level. And based on that experience, my experience and experience of these projects, I gonna to answer today to two questions. I hope at least somebody in the audience has. One question is like, okay, if you consider being a lead, whatever it means, what would be your personal priorities, your biggest challenges, biggest problems, biggest fears, something like that. And by the way, all of us have some kind of manager, and sometimes you may look at them and what the hell they are doing? Like, why? So I'll try to explain what's going on in minds of managers, so maybe you get better what's going on in their minds. These two questions, and one answer the question how to get there, it's out of the scope of my presentation. And I am working at Wargaming platform, and briefly it's like Steam, Battle.net, GOG, but not invented here, so specifically for Wargaming, means platform that answers questions not related to game design, like how to log in, how to pay, how to create support ticket, how to do something else that doesn't mean write game, do game design. And from tech perspective, we have roughly 1 million concurrent users, a lot of data centers, and 243 services today. I mean, totally different services. One service is how to log in, and 242 other services. So it's pretty distributed systems with 100 engineers. And there is job description, is clickbait, maybe the only reason you download my presentation afterwards somewhere. I'll jump to the essence. What you need to know about me, who is sharing experience today. I had like 5 years experience developing 3D games. 20 years ago, artificial intelligence was a little bit different, but anyway. And like 15 years of experience in distributed systems, PHP, yeah, but then Python, Java, Erlang, and then became a lead in different countries, companies, and I had different titles like CTO, engineering manager, team lead. What I'm talking today about is lead is direct manager of individual contributors. It might be CTO in some companies or team lead in some other companies, who knows, but that's what I mean today for lead title. And structure of my presentation will be personal priorities, means what I think based on my understanding of industry and companies like where I'm working, what would be personal priorities, like 1 to 6. And typical for industry, and maybe some not that typical. Like that white sign here is my pretty much personal experience, maybe too personal, not that relevant for you, so I'll try to differentiate that. And size of challenges, or problems, or fears, depends how you think about that. So, when I became team lead first time, I was overwhelmed first time about people management operation or practices, like one-on-ones, performance reviews, how to talk in development conversations and performance reviews and all that stuff. And I thought that was really the most important thing to do. Then, after I had been doing that for roughly 1 year, I figured out that's more important is to hire people and let them go. Because if you don't hire people, there is nobody to talk about on one-on-ones, yeah? So first, hire people and let some people go, because your one-on-ones wouldn't be that inspiring. But then I figured out that's even more important is to do or think or consider project management. Because if you don't have project, you don't need people to do it. No reason to hire them and talk to them. Yeah. So what are you doing actually? More important question is. Then I figured out that the even more important question is like, what? Why? What are you doing? What's the business outcome of what you do? And that is probably my personal experience, because when I had been in these roles, team leads roles, I was responsible for all kind of, like, whatever management, like engineering management, project management, product management. So I decided everything. So currently in the industry, it's used to split between at least engineering manager and product manager. But my experience is as it is. So probably that question isn't that important nowadays for all engineering team leads, but I still think it should be there. Then, and it's, by the way, importance and chronology from bottom to top, yeah? Then I figured out that I need to learn how to delegate, how to have motivational conversations, how to investigate. Yeah, HRs would say, you can develop people. Yeah, I know, so I can only think what the personal motivation in each and every individual person. So anyway, it's what it means. So motivate, work with motivation, whatever it means, and delegation. Because if you don't do it, you don't have teams, no reason to ask questions, why does something, when and who, and you just don't have team. And then, after a couple of years, I figured out that the most important thing, I think, team lead should have in priorities is empathy and conflict resolution. Because if you don't show empathy to your team, if you don't resolve conflicts, you just don't have team. You have no team, no reason to talk about motivation, and you know, and so on and so forth. It's my understanding of priorities in like thinking about into that role. And doing all that shiny stuff, what was the cost? I figured out that I can't code that much code anymore. Means I still can do some architecture and engineering, but coding, oh my God. And it's here first challenge arose. Expertise loss. Means, okay, I can't code that much time, my team can. Oh my God, I'm losing my competences. How to talk to these people? How would they listen to me? And by the way, my survival scenario was to become like intrusive interviewer. So I tried to put in each and every decision. Why did you decide that? You have an interview, I need to participate into that interview, with candidate, I mean. You have important document, please put me there. Oh, what have you heard about last news in tech? So I tried to talk to people a lot to just drain all the information, all the participation, everything from team and people around. But then I figured out that more important is like more frightening is another thing. Probably my personal experience, but typical fear was when I was in airplane and I was from business trip somewhere in another part of the world and I agreed on something there. And tomorrow I need to talk to my team and say, you know what? You voted for me to be in your team lead and I decided to do that. We agreed on that. That's it. We need to do it. It was really frightening for me. So I had to talk on meetings where sometimes it's just technically impossible to connect all team members. Make decisions, talk to the team, and then sometimes make other decisions and so on and so forth. So one of top 2 challenge for me was to be that representative from the team to the external world. And any guesses what I think is the biggest challenge of team lead? Just any guess? Biggest fear of team lead? No. Nice. Yeah. Losing people, exactly. I was like the golem, like, oh my precious, that are people. I had these conversations. I hired. We decided, and sometimes I figured out that I'm trying to retain people maybe a little outside of business interest, you know. And then I figured out there is no reason. By the way, when I was jumping to the next roles of leads, I figured out that there is no way. Being as team lead, the only job I can do is to retain people, sometimes crossing border of business interest, but that's it, because my precious, you know. And then opportunity came and I jumped to lead of leads role. And my experience in these roles is pretty similar because you see, by the way, service diagram in my both companies. They were exactly the same, just some complicated service stuff of distributed services. And 2 companies, 3 countries for some reason. What I figured out first, I was taught like, okay, there is some cost. And cost was I totally lost ability to participate in day-to-day activities. Stand-ups, daily meetings, product increment meetings, plannings, whatever happening almost day-to-day or week-to-week, I just lost ability to participate into that. So how to survive? How to survive without all these meetings I was taught to be part of for whole my life. And also I totally lost ability to write code, at least at work. Because a lot of teams, a lot of problems. That was my cost, and I think that's bad and right cost into that role at the same time. And what I thought initially was the biggest priority is money, briefly, like budgets, salaries, promotions. When I was team lead, it was just somehow worked. Somehow I hired people and decided on salary, that's it. When I got several teams, like, oh my God. Each and every day, somebody is asking for salary increase or for some spot bonus, or there is some hardware, and it was overwhelming. Probably my personal problem, but I had a lot of talks with both my managers, like, can I just don't do it that much? Fortunately, after a couple of years, I figured out how to don't, but it was overwhelming first time. Because why I stopped doing that? Because then I figured out another priority. Another priority was I figured out that teams have engineers with good potential. These engineers jump into leads role, and then with high probability they say, you know what, Ilya? It's not why our mother gave us birth, you know. We don't want to be leads. It roughly after a year or 2 years of being in that role, they say something like that. And that had to change my mind a lot into how I look at leads at like junior leads. Like, oh, you know, good lead you are, but probably with half to half probability you won't be a lead, yeah, by your decision. So it changes a lot, by the way, to think about that day to day. Then I figured out, wow, I have engineers more qualified than I in some specific field. Because when I was team lead, I was roughly the most experienced engineer in the team. You may name it staff engineer or whatever. But when I had several teams, DevOps teams, front-end teams, back-end teams, tech writers, okay, now I have people who are much more experienced in some area of technology than I am. How to talk to them, how to make them listen to me. It was difficult. It's when I learned that word coaching. Sorry engineers for that word, but I had to familiarize myself with that. Then I figured out that having several teams means there is always some problem. Production is down, somebody is leaving, somebody is about to leave, somebody is about, I know, to break their leg or what. Something is happening day to day. And it had been, you see it on the third place, pretty overwhelming into that role, because a lot of problems, how to survive. Then I figured out, not then by the way, here, first time the chronology breaks. So from the first day into that role, and by the end of my career into these roles, matrix became challenge or pretty important stuff into my mind. Because when as I already shared, when I was team lead, I was engineering, product, whatever manager on my own, and then I jumped into role and had product managers. What? How to? Okay, I can't just decide, yeah? I can't just, so we need to share somehow responsibility and how to deal with that. For me, it was really challenging to jump from one leadership to another leadership role and having partners. Oh my God, and not only product managers, but delivery managers, but some other managers. So it was tough, and it had always been for me to have too many partners, you know, in my life. And first priority, after all, after a couple of years of survival into that role, became, it had been to the end, is having leadership-specific conversations. Because what I learned is leads, in addition to typical questions about software, about engineering, started asking interesting questions. Ilya, how would I increase my salary? No, autonomy. Or how would I increase my engineering influence? How would I do something that engineers had never been asked? And what I personally think, that's exactly what makes lead of leads. It's thinking about these questions. How to talk to leads, how to have development conversations, and like the differentiations, like quick questions. Do you do that or not? Are you lead of leads or not? Then challenges. How did I survive without ability to write code? Oh, easy. Just starting to write code at home. So my survival was starting writing Minecraft plugins. Just liked it for some reason, and I, by the way, still do that when my manager doesn't observe. So my specific challenge and topic with my manager was I am doing too much people management stuff. And I didn't want to. I didn't want to become just people manager who just talk to people and that's it. I love both people and engineering, and I have always wanted to keep both competences. So it's pretty complicated. It always have been pretty complicated for me to keep both competences. Then another problem I figured out is like somebody's putting fingers into socket there, and I just can't do anything. The only thing I can do is to talk to their lead. Talk to their lead, teach them how to prevent their team from putting fingers into the socket. But not just jump there. It's complicated. It's complicated because I discovered that much inefficiency. Like, oh my God, if I were software engineer, I would rewrite that pull request like that. But I even can teach, and I even can teach my lead. I can talk to lead, but not in teaching tone. Oh my God, that complicated. But I need to be patient. Any guesses about top 1 challenge? No? Nice. You know something. On high level, yeah, but now losing teams. But what I can say is losing team is much worse than losing people, because, okay, as team lead, just brave through is, okay, if somebody is leaving, open position replacement. Make an interview, maybe 100, pick somebody, and that's it. Just replace people, but managers would say, but it actually sometimes how technical, I mean, from HR perspective works. If you're losing a team, I personally never seen a scenario when you're just losing team and then what? Open replacement? Like on LinkedIn, there is no that field on LinkedIn. Like looking for a team. Means you made a mistake, or you lost some responsibility, or something else much worse happened. So if you're losing people, you open, okay, position replacement. If you're losing teams, you are in trouble. And I had that experience twice. Last time I lost DevOps team, so it's like, it's not why my mom gave me birth, I would say. And then, here I carefully sorted all challenges I think would leads of leads have, like 1-to-1. And I'll continue doing that. And by the way, you see expertise loss is 6-to-1, so it arose initially, but then only 6, but still 6. And then position of leads. Boring to name it, yeah? Only one experience, so maybe my reliability into that part of speech isn't that high, but still gonna share because I have the time slot, yeah? So, cost. What I felt initially being promoted to that role, that okay, now I can't write each and every meeting follow-up. I can't write down each and every agreement. I really love documents, but I also lost ability to write document for everything. Oh my God, I can only talk to people, look at their eyes, and try to figure out, like, are they trustworthy or not? And by the way, what it means. So, I felt initially, and I still do, less control, but higher responsibility. Whatever is happening, and you remember, yeah, sometimes something is happening somewhere. In many times, I am the responsible person suddenly. Like, okay, something happened, and oh my God, and I'm responsible. So that became the cost. And next thing, I figured out that I can go through the office floor and just share an idea with an engineer and come back in a month, and engineer says, Ilya, I'm done. What done? Do you remember a month ago you shared, oh my God, like, it was just an idea. So I had to learn that now I have to be much more careful with what I'm saying out loud, because it may be done in a month. And it changed a lot. Like, I became much more calm, by the way, afterwards. And who to talk what. So means I had to become much more careful with what I'm saying. Then I figured out, like, okay, last time software engineers became more experienced than I was. Now I have engineering managers more experienced than I am. Okay, I'm not the most experienced engineer. I'm not the most experienced manager. Who I am actually? I decided for myself. Like, I have the biggest sum of engineering and managerial expertise in my team. If there is a recording in my team watches it, I think they wouldn't make me cry afterwards. So I think so. Sorry, team. But it became even more tough how to talk to managers who are more experienced managers in their specific field. I mean, because managers are also different, like delivery, products, whatever other managers. Then, and it's probably my specific personal experience, somehow I had survived without that in mind, that sometimes I need to exchange something personal to something business, like, I've lived in, 5-6 countries. I can give you tax advice. Okay, I give you tax advice. Could you please finish that project in time? Or, I have black cat and you do. I can take care of your cat. By the way, still that project delivery, yeah? So, by the way, it's not a joke even. So I had specific these cases. It's how world works. Yeah. Then I also figured out that if I'm a team building, team is sitting there. I'm sitting to my team and there is silence. They don't want to talk. They just wait for me getting out of there. So I'm party breaker. A lot of people just don't wanna. I really appreciate to team members who now say, Ilya, I won't talk to you, because otherwise they still won't, but even won't share that they won't talk, so it's even more complicated. So I had to keep in mind that thing, that now I can't just go through the office floor and get opinions. No. People don't share opinions anymore. At least openly. Even more complicated thing became communication. Do you remember I said I stopped ability to write documents, but not about communication? I have a document what to share on daily stand-up, document what to share on town hall meetings, on that meetings on Thursday, on that bi-weekly meeting. I have a tree of documents in Confluence about what to share, where to whom, like communication became complicated. And I think it's still there and will be there forever. But the top priority, I roughly touched it already. I think how it's about thinking. Suddenly. It's about thinking how having both managerial and engineering and software engineering experience and high sum of that experience, how to get value from that, just not to know something, but like, okay, why my team needs me? How to utilize my knowledge, how to utilize my experience of thinking about that, how to be valuable for my team having that. For me, it's top one priority, and I think that the only reason having these positions in companies, by the way. And jump into challenges. Starting from the cost, I shared that I feel a lot of responsibility. And have you heard how many times from news, like, oh, it was just pilot mistake. Airplane crashed, pilot mistake. That pilot mistake, sometime, don't let me sleep, because whatever happens, it's my mistake sometimes. Just half of problems I figured out existed, when I was blamed, it was my mistake. And when I try to make a deep dive, like, yeah, really, it was my mistake. So because by method of exclusion, like, okay, not the responsibility of that person, or maybe combined all these two. And who is their manager? Okay, me. Not that person asked that, not that person asked that, but like customers also don't need that. Who does need that? Okay, looks like me. And too many thoughts about like where I'm the problem, I know. Also, it's just modern picture about super intelligence, but what I'm frightening in my mind sometimes that, okay, I have some sensitive information I can't share. I have time, thanks to the team, they're doing all job and I'm going through the floors and thinking. So I have time, I have sensitive information, I have experience, so I have a lot of context to think about future, to think about like technical strategy for 5 years or business strategy or something like that. But what if I'm directing my organization in just wrong direction? What if I know, what if Sarah Connor? Yeah, what if I'm missing something? And that's something pretty big in my mind, still is. So to just bring to the organization long-term damage, because I can, unfortunately, not by bad reasons, just because I have context, time, and responsibility. Any guesses about top one challenge? Not funny anymore. No. But maybe not no, by the way. So for me, the top one challenge is to be a bad guy. Means in each and every tough decision, you may name it tough, I'm feeling like it's difficult because, okay, in engineering, whatever I add to tech radar, some team is crying because it's not their technology. Even if we all 100 people agreed on some standardization and I have huge mandate for implementing the standardization in the whole organization, but when specific standardization point comes, another team is crying because it's not their lovely technology. So whatever I do, whatever decision I make, somebody is hurt, somebody is crying all the time. And I honestly don't want to be that bad guy. So it's for me personally, the top one challenge. Each and every day I'm hurting someone, really. I'm laughing, but it's not a joke. Even right now, maybe somebody hurting by document I published it an hour ago. So it's tough. And yeah, you're sommelier, Ilya sommelier. So I sorted all challenges I think should be in minds of leads with some personal marks. And you know what? You know what's not there? As somebody almost said, getting bored is not there. Yeah, having these challenges, problems, you name it, it's at least fun. And by the way, I said I don't want to be bad guy, but on one of team lead meetings, 40 team leads in my team said like, Ilya, you have to be more demanding. I said, really? Do you want me to write down meeting follow-up? Ilya must be more demanding. They say, yeah. Like, okay. The only reason I have that screen is to have that paper there. And just my typical day, for some reason, team, after like 1 year me in that role, said, Ilya, yeah, you need to be more demanding. We ask for that, please. And it's challenging. It's funny, but challenging. And that's all. Any questions?
thank you very much indeed. We're still experiencing some troubles with our IT system, so given that circumstance, verbal questions, oral questions are more than welcome from the audience. Yes, please.
How are you handling problem with it when you're losing team? Like you said, this is the biggest problem. So how are you actually handling it? What do you do in this situation? Like
Suffering. But it's not a joke. I mean, from my personal experience, okay, already doesn't. So I think losing team is the worst thing can happen to manager of several teams if a team means some responsibility. So to be honest, suffering. Try to not repeat that mistake or whatever it means.
I have a question. So you are saying that you're working right now also in team, but your position is like sounds very high, so under CTO or somewhere there. So who is on your team? I'm not managing, but what's the sales status? Who are they?
It's a tricky question.
But still.
I have, my manager is head of platform, and he's responsible for the platform business. And in my team there, it really depends. So I have peers like head of delivery management, like peer who is head of another function. So it really depends how you measure what's the team. So I have different circles where I'm working, means like peers of my manager, like peers of mine. Just I have some Masonic lodge where I have 7 pretty different people. We are talking every week for an hour about some topic. So I have just a lot of different teams.
So it's not a team, it's areas or layers.
Yeah. I don't have one team, I would say. So I have different teams in different dimensions, something like that. Not sure I answered your question.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said that losing a team is the worst thing, but what about the opposite? What about creating a new team?
Oh, it's amazing. But you mean?
Oh, like, yeah, if losing a team is the worst thing that can happen, like very stressful, is creating a team, as you said, amazing, exciting, or is it just still more work?
Creating a team for senior engineering manager who will take care of the team is amazing. But no, it's a sign, I would say. So if you're creating a team, means you're figured out a problem. That problem is pretty huge. And you convinced everybody that you may solve that problem. And you convinced a lot of people they can solve the problem. They agreed to go to the team means looks realistic. So all that together, it's amazing. I don't mean just creating a team for, I mean creating team who is ready to solve real problem in real time and bring business value means, oh wow. And vice versa, losing team.
I have a question myself. So do you experience and how do you deal with the differences between the generations? Because that's what we are complaining all the time. The generations are different, the priorities are different, the way they think.
That's what generation?
I mean, different generations. Probably you have very young people, so representatives from all of them, you know?
Okay, I'm not sure it's polite, but I have teams with both middle software engineer of 21 year and 54 or 5, not exactly sure. I don't know, by the way. I mean, I personally haven't had huge... Okay, I don't have experience solving that problem because I'm not sure I've seen that problem.
Okay.
Sorry.
Good.
I mean, I totally agree it exists somewhere, but I can't share experience on that. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, you.
Not a question, but really thank you for the entertaining talk. I'm gonna say sorry to my manager tomorrow.
Sorry for what?
Misunderstandings. You know, sometimes we, as somebody under a manager, forget how much responsibility there's at the top. So yeah.
Okay,
A world of thanks to you.
Thank you. You've made my day. At least one person in the audience said it's helpful. Okay.
I would like to hear it when I was in school. That can help. Because right now, when you already passed a lot in a later career, and now you hear that you can choose another path and that is the way, I would like to hear this in school, and that would be more inspiring.
You know what we all together can do? Share that with people who are in school, if we have recorded.
Okay, we still have time for the very last question. Yes.
Are you happy? Was it worth that journey?
Ask me in 10 years. Or ask my wife in 10 years better, yeah?
Like what wife?
No. No, it's going too deep, dark. I personally happy because I love what I do, I would say. I mean, I initially I choose career of software engineering like pretty far ago, when it wasn't that well paid and that well known. So I'm happy because I had some luck, I would say. So I wouldn't say it's some rational choice. So I had some luck in far past. I chosen that career path. Then it became well paid, and that's why I'm happy. So I'm not sure how how it helps anyone now, but I'm happy because I'm lucky in that term.
Very well. So thank you very much, everybody. And that was the last presentation. So a big round of applause.